Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the System Talks. And it's been long time since we did our last episode, which was related to the it was related to the API using which you can optimize your performance. So it was mostly related to dev tools, Chrome dev tools, which we have. And then I got busy. Everyone got busy. Uh, there was actually uh, Google I/O. So Jay was attending Google I/O in his region. I was attending Google I/O in Germany, and then I met Pranshu again. We have met several times though, and I thought like, okay, why not to invite Pranshu? It's been a long, long time since we are connected, and he has been doing amazing work with Mozilla. For not now, like he's been working for Mozilla for 2 years now,
Yeah,
Pranshu.
yeah,
Yeah,
almost. Yeah.
yeah, and then he was one of the contributor back. Like he started in 2018. I read his blog post where he mentioned like how he started his journey with Mozilla, and then we thought like, why not to just talk about Mozilla, right?
Mm.
And so I approached Pranshu, and he was like, very nice person. So he said yes, let's do this. So we are here. We'll be talking about Mozilla and especially MDN.
Mm.
So because this is Pranch, this is one of the area you take care of at Mozilla, right?
Yes. So I'm primarily the community manager for MDN, which is Mozilla Developer Network.
Uh-huh.
And there are some responsibilities that overlap with Mozilla, but primarily I focus on the contributor journey, writing, product, which is MDN. So,
So we got the right. Yeah. Cool. So and yeah. So how are you, Jay? It's how was your last summer?
It was good. It's been a busy last year. I'm excited that we're back doing this, but holy, at the end of the last season, I was so busy. I wasn't able to attend that many episodes, unfortunately. So I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. Actually, yeah, takes some pressure off. I don't have to be there like in every episode.
It's true.
Uh, Cool. So let's go ahead and get started, Pranshu. So as we said, like of course, we gave like little bit idea that we'll be talking about NBN today.
Hmm.
But can you like tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Mozilla or with MDN? So
So yeah, everyone, I'm Pranshu. I'm based out of Berlin, Germany, and I'm the staff community manager at MDN. Um, when I say a community manager, I generally mean that I take care of the community. So MDN is an open source product, and we get a lot of contributors. Our product is out in the open. You can go ahead and tweak it any way possible. If you don't agree with something, you can create an issue, create a pull request, and we have technical writers who review it. If you're not happy with the product, you can change the UI, for example, right? And drop suggestions, and I'll be the one who'll review it, take care of it, and make sure that if there's any improvement, we get it up to speed. And MDN is one of the world's largest web development documentation platform. We get tens of millions of monthly visitors
mhm.
every month. Basically, I said monthly visitors, uh, and it's the only resource that you'll find on web documentation, basically, which is factual, which is up to spec. We just don't document anything or everything. It has to be a spec which is browser implemented. Otherwise, we don't document it, right? So that's the appeal of MDN. That's why it's so trusted. That it has to be documented, and if it's not on MDN, it's probably in progress or implemented in one browser but not in another, or the spec hasn't passed. It's been proposed. People have made examples out of it, code pens, but it's not a real spec.
So on that note, do you guys talk about like the TC39 proposals? Like what stage do you publish those? Do they have to like I don't know what all stages. I think there might be 4 stages, and then it goes to spec. I'm not actually sure how it all works, but at what point do you include TC39 proposals?
It has to be implemented by the browser.
Okay. Okay, so it has to go through the whole TC39 stage
Yes.
before it ever ends up on MDN.
Yes. Because
MDN.
if you know how TC39 works, anything can happen mid proposal or even post proposal.
Right,
It might not go through right now, it might get postponed for the next build, right?
right.
And yeah, it just happens every so often. And browsers need to agree that this can be implemented, right? And if it's not implemented, what use is it to people?
So on that note, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some browsers, I feel like it's typically Chrome because it's the one that's moving so quickly. But I think they implement some late stage proposals every so often as like an experimental API. Am I correct or incorrect in
I
that?
mean, there are standards positions involved as well,
Okay.
because there are proposals to TC39 here and there, but every browser has their own positioning in terms of standards and what should be a standard, right? So that gets released every once in a while. That gets discussed with W3C, right? And yeah, there's a whole body. There's a whole
That
different process. Yeah, yeah.
So it
But
doesn't need to be implemented. I guess where I was leading with that was
yeah.
the requirement for in browsers, like
Mm.
it's in spec, does it have to exist in all the browsers? Like let's say Chrome is like, we just created this crazy experimental API.
Yeah.
It's in our browser, we shipped it, it's in production. Does that end up on MDN and then there's just like a bunch of red X's for all the other browsers in the compatibility table?
Yes, it does end up on MDN, mainly because Chrome is a major browser, right? If it gets implemented in Chrome, it needs to be documented as
Yeah.
right as web developer documentation. So it needs to be on MDN. But with that, we have two products that work in sync. So we have BCD and Baseline. Within BCD, we share browser information, that which version of which browser supports specific APIs, supports specific functions, right?
Yeah.
And we document all of it within BCD.
Browser compat data, browser
Yes, that's correct.
compatibility data.
Yes,
I'm just gonna link
browser compatibility data. Yeah.
cool.
And along with it, we have Baseline integrated on our platform, which tells you if it's widely available, newly available, or experimental. And that gives you a lot of overview and a lot of room to play with, that which browser has what and where and exactly which function works and which does not.
And baseline is, I don't know how new it is, but it's newer than the whole idea of like the compatibility versions. Because like, for example, like Santosh and I are Angular developers,
Yeah.
and Angular just is switching over to doing builds based on baseline versus
Yeah.
browsers list, right? So how new is baseline? Is it has it been a thing for a while and it's just now starting to catch on? Like, how does that factor into the whole like Safari 15.1 plus, but then it's in like Firefox 158, all that kind of right?
I mean, baseline is mostly overview of what what's available and what's not, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I get what you're saying with Safari 15.1 plus, but again, that is still within BCD,
Right.
because
Yeah,
you
of course.
cannot, yeah, you'll have to view the complete compat data. But then BCD, your question on baseline is, yeah, I mean, the answer is that it's been around for about 4 5 years now.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it
Yeah.
was
So
launched
now
in
it's just starting
2020.
to kind of really gain
Exactly.
momentum with some of the
Yeah.
tooling frameworks. And I
Yeah.
saw, Chrome or not Chrome, web dev had
Yeah.
like a whole article on like what baseline is and all that kind of stuff. I'll actually find that like in the show notes in case
Yeah.
anyone's wondering.
And WebDev is doing great work with Baseline. They're our partners at MDN. And yeah, we work in tandem. They were recently doing a user research for Baseline and getting more opinions in for Baseline. Yeah, and it's great. I think we've got great feedback for baseline as a product as well. Yeah. And
Cool.
they've made it easier to embed baseline in various websites, which is great as well.
Nice. Okay, tangent back to you. Well, a bit more of some personal questions so we get to know you a little bit more. Do you remember the first time you ever used MDN?
Yes, surprisingly, yes. Some background about me: I'm an electronics and communications engineer. So while I was in college, I was doing something with, I don't remember, Raspberry Pi or Arduino, but I really just wanted it to connect to the web, and as a part of it, I wanted to figure out the set timeout function, and that's when I stumbled onto MDN. I think that's my earliest memory for MDN. But yeah, I, I I I discovered it, and it was just a boon. I mean, it was complete. It was clear, and yeah, it just became a go-to tool for me to do anything HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Yeah, and that's been my baseline of truth since then.
Nice. Um, when you were, how long ago did you learn to code? Like, how long have you been coding for?
Uh, this was 2014, I guess.
So about 10 years then.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were figuring all of this out, like let's focus maybe on web specifically. So you said you were doing some embedded type stuff
Mhm.
before. Where did MDN fit into like your learning resources? Like, were you just using it exclusively? Were you also back in the day? You know, people don't really use Stack Overflow anymore to the
Yeah.
chagrin of the people at Stack Overflow. But
Yeah.
where does MDN fit in with like those other resources? Stack Overflow being one. What was the other one that we listed down here? Oh, just like general tutorials. Probably
And
W3 schools. That was probably
W3 schools, yeah.
yeah.
It was like quite famous, right? Back in the days.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, as far as I can remember, back in college as a broke student, somebody in my hostel, they torrented a complete tutorial, uh, yeah, uh, for HTML and CSS. I don't remember what the name of the channel was, or
Mhm.
yeah, but I remember Bucky was the instructor. I don't remember the complete details, but yeah, I started on Notepad plus plus, and that was the tutorial that I started using.
Notepad plus plus.
Yeah,
Wow.
golden.
Blast from the past.
So we were just having a discussion today. So
Yeah.
like around the IDEs, because you
Mm.
know now you have 10 different IDEs, mostly talking about AIs, and then we talked about WebStorm. I don't want to like say anything bad about it, but like for some reason it takes 6-7 GB of RAM. I'm not sure like what it is doing, and then
The
I said,
JetBrains office is 500 meters away from here. If you want me to get in there and
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm gonna be sending you messages. You're my new contact at JetBrains.
so and then suddenly, so I said like let's move on to Notepad plus plus. Like that was the fun days.
Seriously.
it was a fun days, and yeah, I mean, completely local. I had no concept of streaming back then because my hostel Wi-Fi was absolutely terrible. Uh,
Actually.
but yeah, I mean, that really cemented my idea of what a tutorial is, right? And tutorial helps you build more stuff, but to understand the foundation, or to understand context, is why I ended up on MDN. Stack Overflow, I discovered it later, of course, but then it helps you fix things. It does not really help you build things, or it does not help you go deeper. You will have to fall back to resources like MDN to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I use MDN all the time still to look up. Like, I need to understand this one super hyper specific parameter of this one function. Like, what exactly is like what does the spec say about what this thing does? Because of course, you know, everyone's got an opinion on the internet. There's a million blog posts about literally everything. Okay, I just gotta go to the source. I just gotta see what the source says, and then I can go from there if I need more information.
Exactly, and MDN is the closest to the source as you can get without getting into,
Reading the spec.
I mean, almost reading the spec, because usually it's just long threads on GitHub with arguments against it. Um, and then it boils down to what it becomes. And yeah, there's just a lot that goes into that. But even when it comes to MDN, I would like to ask you, how do you search for things on MDN today?
So I don't know if I've ever actually used the search on MDN. I usually end up on MDN via Google because I'm
Yeah.
looking for something specific, right? I never like go into MDN and then typing in the search bar to say like, I don't know, document.get by ID. I'm not doing that. It's usually like I just type in the search bar and like blah 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 whatever, and then like usually MDN's like one of the higher ranked options for me when I'm looking up like a DOM API or something like that, right?
Right.
So that's usually how. And then I get right to the page that I'm looking for typically, and if not, then like I click one of the embedded links. But I don't know if I've ever actually used the search option on MDN.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, same for me. Generally, what I do is when I'm searching for something, I just add like a search for MDN, right? So
Right.
let's say if I'm looking for maybe some clipboard API, right? So I'll just type clipboard API MDN docs.
Huh. I'll drop a nice tip here. So the next time you do this, you can go mdn.dev/whatever you're looking for. So mdn.dev/array will drop you right into search results for array.
Oh, okay, cool. So if it doesn't match an exact page, it goes to a search param effectively, or
Yes.
search query.
Yes, because you might be looking for something else with array too, but you'll get all the options there.
Makes sense. Cool. Good to know.
Yeah, cool.
How did you get into community management?
Oh, I mean, I've been a community person for as long as I can remember. Back in 2015, I think I was late for GSOC, and that's the only program that I knew was around open source. I'd been into open source communities and IRC chats and whatnot uh, before that, but it sealed the deal with the Firefox Student Ambassador program when I got in 2015. And in late 2015, I found out that there was another guy, shout out Mithane, who was also a Firefox Student Ambassador in my college. And I caught up with him, and we started a club in our college and hosted our first event in 2016. Yeah.
Nice. Crazy.
And since then, I've just been in the open source community. And in 2017, 18, when I was coming out of college, I decided that maybe I can do this full time. This apparently is a role. People
Yes.
pay you to do this.
You're like, wait, what? I can get paid for doing community stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, by the time I'd been a part of Mozilla India, I'd been organizing local meetups, contributing to projects online, mentoring newcomers. Yeah, I'd given like 50 talks already while I was in college. I'd given like 10 workshops, doing things. So yeah, it was it was a lot of fun, and I was enjoying it. And I landed my first job where I built a community in 2019. Doing it for Intel. Intel had a CSR program, corporate social responsibility program called AI for Youth. And yeah, it was a pretty distinct role. Only 7 people in the country were doing it. We were called trainers, but we were essentially just running programs to inculcate AI in the Central Board of Secondary Education's curriculum. So we actually built out the curriculum for that and gave out trainings and mentored students to build projects. And yeah, it was quite fulfilling. And yeah, since then, I've just been jumping around doing community for different products.
So for Mozilla, then did you just like see the job posting or like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for? Or like how did you come across how did you acquire your job?
Um, I think with Mozilla, it was right place, right time, because they were looking for a developer open source community manager, and my previous job was doing open source community management for a feature flag company called Unleash. And yeah, and it just aligned pretty well. They were looking for somebody with my experience. I'll be very honest, I'd applied to Mozilla twice before this and got rejected, which is completely fine. But then I understood that I did not have the experience then, and this time I did, and they were looking for somebody in Europe, so it just fit perfectly. The whole team is in Europe, and yeah, I know Mozilla like the back of my hand as a contributor. I've been a council member for 4 years, and yeah.
Cool. So obviously MDN's kind of like shaped like web documentation on the internet, right? Super important for so long. Like you said, you guys put a lot of effort into making sure it's like as accurate as possible, up to spec, the whole spec's represented, et cetera, right? How is MDN more than just like a documentation site? Like it's not just like I'm going there for some docs. Like what else is it? Like what else is MDN doing for us in terms of the like culture of web development as a whole? Like what can you just speak a bit about that?
I think MDN really just sets the tone for what responsible documentation looks like. It needs to be open, it needs to be inclusive, it needs to be community powered, right? And it also influences how browser vendors think about compatibility, right? And standards. It's almost like a steward, an inward steward, in fact, for the open web, because community needs to have a voice, right? And I believe that MDN gives them that with the opinions that we see on MDN in our community often gets to places where decision makers are, and I think it's extremely important to be there.
Makes sense. This might kind of feed into the same kind of answer, but like in your opinion, what makes MDN different than like I don't know if there's like commercial documentation sites out there, but like what makes MDN different than whatever competitors MDN has in terms of like maybe so like let's say like W3 Schools or Stack Overflow or all these other like documentation sites. Like what's MDN's differentiator? Give me the like elevator pitch of like why I should invest in MDN versus something else.
And I think the answer is right in your question. It's not trying to sell you anything, right? It's consistent, it's accurate, and it's simply just there. It exists for developers. There's neutrality, right? Can be combined with deep technical quality, not just from our technical writers, but also from our community who've been around for, I mean, over a decade with MDN. So they know MDN in and out, and and yeah, and that builds immense trust within the community.
So follow-up question, Pranshu here, because I think most of us, can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Okay. So most of us, like when we started, like W3 School was one of the trusted resource, right? But over the period of time, like people stopped even recommending it
Hmm.
because it had like older content, and I'm not sure like at that time MDN was that preferred or even powerful or maybe known in the community.
Hmm.
What went wrong with W3 Schools?
I mean, I don't think I can comment on them. I mean, W3 Schools, it's a great website. Honestly, I've used it plenty of times while learning to code as well. Uh, but I think coming back to MDN, I think that MDN is and always will be accurate when it comes to developers trying to do their jobs or trying to learn something, and that trust is what matters. If MDN gives you wrong documentation even one time, right, you won't come back. straight up. But the fact is that even if it's wrong, people have come back to us, shouted at us that this is wrong, fix it. Or even if they have an opinion that this is wrong, you have to explain it differently, or this example does not work. Yeah, people come back. Our community knows us. We've been around for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I think that trust is not going anywhere.
Just a follow-up question. Anyone knows who owns W3 schools? Like, and I remember back in the days, even they don't have there was no login screen or something. Now they have a login screen, courses, different things. Who owns this?
It's owned by, I don't know, I can't even say the name. RefNet Data AS.
I think it's a Norwegian company.
It is a Norwegian company.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. There
Probably,
you go. Huh. Today I learned.
probably it got sold some maybe in past few years because yeah. I mean, I don't remember I remember like there used to be just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and now I see 10 different stuff, C++, C Sharp.
Probably trying to figure out how to make money.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Looks like someone just sold the domain and now this company is mostly using it for sales and everything, or courses, selling courses.
I don't think it got sold.
No,
I
is it?
think it just remained with the same person who had
So it's a
had
privately
ambition.
owned.
Figure out
Okay.
what to do with it. MDN's eating all of their market share, so they gotta figure out how to bring people back.
I don't think there's market share for web developer documentation.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
So what makes you think, like, why do you think that developers are so, well, this is obviously a generalization, but why do you think like devs are so like open and willing to contribute their time to improving the documentation, right? Because you said it's community driven, right? There's tons of active open contributors. Anybody can go and change anything on the MDN, like site or docs or examples or whatever. It's like what makes you think, like, why is it that devs just volunteer their time for improving this resource?
As a contributor myself, as an open source and Mozilla contributor myself, I think it's partly gratitude because MDN helped them and they want to give back. But also because it's impactful. When you improve a page on MDN, you're helping millions, and that's a rare kind of leverage for an individual contributor. You don't often get that with
No.
an open source product, framework, library, and you don't need to know a lot, learn a lot to be able to do that. If you just spot a mistake, go ahead, just open a PR, right? It's as simple as that. It's technical documentation, it's no rocket science.
So building on that, then, great segue into my next question or clarification for the listeners is you don't have to be a technical writer to contribute to MDN, right? Like anybody can do this.
Not at all. Not at
Yeah.
all. If you've clearly explained something to a fellow dev or taught somebody something, anything, you have what it takes. It's as simple as that. The MDN team and contributors are there to help you shape what you're writing, what you're doing into great documentation. It's very much a learn by doing space. Then if you don't know enough, you cannot contribute. I think with a lot of open source libraries, you have to learn a lot of things. You have to have enough context on why something was implemented or not implemented, the way it was not implemented to get there. Because if you submit a PR and it's already been done before, your work just goes to waste, which is not the case with technical writing in general.
Makes sense.
just a follow-up question on this, Pranshu. I remember like you mentioned in your blog post, like you have been contributing since 2018. So do you want to like tell people like how you started? Because I remember Mozilla or MDN just moved on GitHub 2 years back. And most people, when we talk about open source or PRs, they just think about GitHub, right? So
Yeah.
how it used to be?
How it used so just a correction there. MDN moved to GitHub in 2020.
3 years.
Right. 5 years.
Is it
It's
2020?
2025.
Oh,
2020. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's been 5 years. Oh, yeah.
It's fine. Time flies. Time flies, Santosh.
Time does fly.
Wow, 5 years. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
What? Yeah. So let's get some people excited for the future. Well, hopefully excited. What's the team working on right now at MDN? Like, is there something you guys are working on that you're going to release soon, or is it just like kind of just keeping up to date with the spec and cleaning up, confusions and stuff? Like, what are you guys working on? Where's the team's time going right now?
Sure. So we just wrapped up MDN Turns 20. We did a nice blog. I sent all of our contributors some swag.
Nice.
And yeah, because our contributor base is far and wide, it's difficult to manage the logistics of that.
Fair.
But yeah, once that was wrapped up, all eyes are on Fred. We've worked for months on our new front end, and Fred is our front end. That's why we call it Fred. Right, and yeah, it's completely rebuilt, redesigned, and re-engineered from the ground up. There were a lot of old components in our previous build system, Yari, and yeah, there was simply a lot that the team wanted to change in terms of content, in terms of design. We did not tweak it too much because documentation needs to be a certain way, and if you just overnight change MDN, yeah, we'll get a lot of complaints. But yeah, we improved readability. We added a code font, which is still enter, but only to make it consistent, and refreshed our icons, and redid our search model. So yeah, that's what the team was working on, and we've launched it. And with that, we've got a lot of people reporting bugs, and that's the great bit about our community, because that's been instant, that's been open, and folks are going on to submit pull requests as well.
Cool. So MDN just celebrated its 20th birthday. That's what you're saying. MDN, you just wrote that big blog post, right?
Yeah.
You would pick one thing as the most important or interesting moment in MDN. What would it be?
Important and interesting.
Or interesting. You can choose either one.
I think there have been plenty interesting moments, but when it comes to an important one, I think that would be the move to GitHub that Santosh was mentioning in 2020, because MDN was a wiki before that, right? And a wiki has certain advantages and disadvantages, and let's not get into that. But when we moved to GitHub, we literally exposed all of our code, all of our content to everyone at once. And yeah, I mean, if you I've looked at community metrics to then, and yeah, the activity is crazy. I mean, right now we've had over 105K contributors so far only on our GitHub.
Holy,
Yes.
that's a lot.
And yeah, it is literally thousands of commits every month. Not commits, but thousands of contributions when it's pull requests, comments, discussions, issues, and that's only on GitHub. So this does not include our Discord, which has about 6,500 members right now, and it's more of a learning community. Apart from that, we run two different community calls, one with the larger community, the other an editorial. And it's a huge community, as simple as that. That's why they need a community manager to be there and yeah, manage all of it.
Makes sense.
So
I can
just one
only
question.
imagine. Oh, go ahead, Santosh.
Yeah, just wanted to ask you one thing here. So I've seen like MDN, right, and I have used like several times. And one shift I have seen in the community, and I think Jay, you can agree to this. Like most of the documentation which you see now, they are integrating web containers, so you can run commands and everything in the editor itself. For example, Angular migrated to use web containers now. Is there any plan around that in MDN? Because it will make, I think it will make learning fun. I think it does that. Because if I can run the commands on the playground itself, it
Yeah.
makes like learning much easier. So is there any plan, just to ask? Or is there any ask like this in the community already?
So depends on which section you're talking about, right? So the way I see MDN is there's the learn section, which is for new developers, and then there's reference pages.
Yeah, so learn section basically, if because I remember like they have a section where you can say, okay, I want to learn Angular, I want to run React, and then they give you this all tutorial, right?
Right. Yeah. So when it comes to the learn section, we are currently experimenting with scrims. I'm not sure if you know Scrimba by any chance.
No.
Skim,
No.
Skimba is, I think it's a platform where you can buy or post courses, right? As a creator, you can create courses, and then
I'm
is
not
it the
sure if
same?
you can do it as a creator, but they have their own courses and
Yeah.
everything. So in 2023, in late 2023, I think we initiated a partnership with Scrimba. That meant that our MDN front-end curriculum is going to match their front-end curriculum. So if you want to do, if you want to learn in a more interactive manner, you can jump to Scrimba, right? And it's literally the same course, one-to-one.
It's free?
Uh, no, that's the thing. There are certain parts which are paid. You will have to get a pro subscription for that. But right now, we are in 2025, we are experimenting with scrims on MDN, which will be completely free. So they have embeds where we can run videos, where we can run code, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen the demo, and it blows me out of the park that they have their own programming language which they've coded it on.
Of
It's
course.
super interesting. I do recommend that you go ahead and check it on our learn pages, uh, and leave us feedback. Where we're collecting feedback below those scrims right now to see if our learners appreciate this interactive learning model. Yeah.
Cool.
Because I mean, I'll give you a reason for the web container thing as well. So running something like that requires a lot of compute power
Yep.
and cloud storage, right? And that would increase costs. So because we already have a partnership with Scrimba, we figured it makes sense to let our engineers not build something for now and work with something that's already there, and it helps us to make our content more interactive and learners to learn something for free. So why not?
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm just thinking, reflecting back on what we were talking about before. Santosh asked a question around like the most important thing, and you mentioned like, oh, like the move to GitHub. I can only imagine how much that reduced the burden of contributors making changes and improving the system. Because where was it before? Was it completely closed source before? And it was a wiki that had like tools built into it that allowed them kind of like I don't exactly know how Wikipedia's works, but was it more aligned like that and less like here's the raw source, edit the source with a change? Like what was the switch like there?
What was the switch like? I wasn't here for the switch.
Okay, well, what was it like before? I guess like how did people make changes before, and then like how much of that? How did moving to GitHub reduce the burden, or maybe if it didn't reduce the burden, how did it change the contributors workflow?
I mean, so with GitHub particularly, I think the change, I would say it was different, not less, not more,
Right.
because uh, GitHub has its own contribution workflows, which I think are very well known within the community. So it's easy to do that. And right now, we can run many actions to moderate things easily or manage things. So it did become easier eventually. Uh, but the thing is that with 14,000 pages worth of content, right?
Oh, wow.
you're looking at a field which you cannot cover every day, right? So I personally cannot get to every PR that I can read every day. Uh, and imagine that when it was a wiki,
Yeah.
right?
Fair.
Because there's no rollback functionality. It was completely contributor focused, and we did have amazing contributors even then who have now joined our GitHub and even become our partners in OWD, like Open Web Docs. And yeah, it was difficult. I have personally tried contributing to the wiki MDN, and it was rejected. My change was rejected. But yeah, it was simpler though, because you did not need to build anything, right?
Right.
Locally. You could do it on your browser, and
Mhm.
as wiki goes, it's essentially a document that you can edit and goes into an approval workflow.
Mm.
Right?
So obviously the web and I guess technology as a whole is always just moving so quickly, right? What challenges do you foresee MDN facing, just like staying up to date with everything, with the speed at which everything moves nowadays?
I mean, I think the sheer pace is the challenge. We've seen in the last 4 to 5 years how many frameworks have evolved. I mean, I don't think 5 years ago there was Next.js, Svelte, Remix, White.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, many more, and we still don't uh, maintain those documentation on MDN, and we tried. There is some Svelte documentation, for example. There is some React documentation, but it's super outdated. And these new frameworks, these new APIs, changing specs, emerging patterns, it is a lot, right? And our challenge is scaling contribution and review in a way that does not burn people out. Like I said, we've got contributors who've been here for over a decade,
Right.
and that could cause burnout because these are contributors who have their day jobs, their student lives, their PhDs, and in the evenings they're just contributing. So it's difficult to keep the content fresh and correct while not burning folks out, and that's the real challenge that I see for MDN going ahead.
So this is a tech podcast, so obviously we can't get through a whole episode without asking about AI. Because I think that's illegal. We have to ask about AI work nowadays. Otherwise Sam Altman's gonna be knocking on my door tomorrow. Why didn't you ask about it?
I
What do
hope he offers you $1.5 million as well, like Dr.
Same.
Bucket.
I also hope that he does. I could really use that right now. What how are you viewing the future of like web documentation or just like open source documentation in general? Like obviously AI generated docs are a thing that lots of people are using. Like where do you see the friction between that and like staying just completely community driven? Is it going to be some kind of a meld where it's community driven with like the help of AI to keep up to date or improvements and expansion on the current examples and data and writing and all that kind of stuff? Like how do you see the future of like community driven open source documentation in this like new age that we're living in where everyone can just like go generate a thing in like 5 seconds?
I mean, there are many ways to answer this. There are ways to answer this where I'm AI hopeful. There are ways to answer this where I'm a community manager. There are ways to answer this where I'm not thinking of my contributors or just answer this as a web dev, right? But yeah, I mean, I think as a developer, right? I think the future of documentation has to stay human curated, especially for something as foundational as MDN. Uh, because good documentation isn't just accurate, it's thoughtful, it's empathetic, it's context aware, and that's something that only humans, especially those who struggle with the same problems, right? They can bring, and that's something that I feel is where the future lies for community driven documentation.
Yeah, I for one don't want to lose the human element in my work. Like everyone, obviously the hot topic right now is like, oh, we're cutting our workforce for 10%, but like bringing in AI agents to make us more stream. Like we're an AI first company. It's like I still want to work with humans
Yeah,
at the end of the day. Like they're the best part about my job is my team, right?
I agree.
So I can totally understand wanting that like quintessential human element
Exactly.
in the documentation, not foregoing that, right? So totally understand.
I don't think the conversation is about AI. I think the conversation is always about humans.
Mhm.
It's just the way you want to approach it. Because you can be AI hopeful, you can be bullish on AI, but at the end of the day, if you're not building for humans or if you're not writing for humans,
Mhm.
you're you're failing uh, with the end result.
Yeah, true.
Totally. Santosh, do you wanna ask our last question?
I
Put
mean,
a
as we are talking about AI and documentation, one thing which we have noticed is spam. So I'm sure like you also have this issue. So are you like talking to GitHub about this, or you're just handling it yourself? How you're managing it? Especially you are having thousands of uh, contributors every month.
Uh, I mean, spam is something that we dealt with even without AI, honestly.
Mhm.
We've got workflows in place. I mean, we've got half workflows in place, I would say. We don't use actions to judge everything.
Okay.
We do the bare minimum, where if somebody or something has tried not to even edit the title of the PR, right? uh,
Mm-hmm.
or add some context, we block those PRs immediately and not tag anyone. Uh, but yeah, I think spam is a growing issue. We are in touch with GitHub for this, and GitHub does try to push a lot of its new features through us. And yeah, I mean, they've got a lot going on as a company, I think. Uh, uh, but yeah, spam is something that we're trying to deal with. Yeah, yeah. I think that's really about it. There's no way I can put it without making GitHub sound bad, but yeah, GitHub is great as well.
I I for one do not want to be the person in charge of solving the problems that they're having with like AI and stuff. Like I have all the faith that they can handle it because
Yeah.
I do not want to be the one that's responsible for that. Sounds like a nightmare.
All of it while pushing AI in their
Yeah.
Copilot, in like actions, workflows, whatever you name it. You can name it, but Microsoft GitHub is just pushing everything. By
Oh
the
yeah.
way, by the way, one of my friends in the open source community asked me not to call it just GitHub. They asked me to call it Microsoft GitHub all the time because they are owned by Microsoft. And
Sure. I don't call
every
it
time,
Amazon though.
sorry,
I don't call it Amazon Twitch though, or like
that's the thing. That's what he argues, that if you say it Microsoft GitHub or Amazon Twitch,
uh-huh.
you take away their power of being community driven, right? Which is true because they have larger companies behind them. So
Yeah, I mean that's a fair argument. I can see I can understand that
yeah,
for
I
sure.
mean, I'm in GitHub Slack, and they never asked us to actually do this. Like, call it
actually,
Microsoft GitHub.
Salesforce Slack, Santosh.
It's
Oh,
Salesforce
Yeah, it's Salesforce Slack. Slack was
oh,
acquired by Salesforce, so
for billions of dollars
yes.
by a $500 billion company or
my
whatever the hell
goodness. Yeah,
Salesforce is worth
yeah.
nowadays.
Though we love to call it Microsoft Teams because no one wants to use it.
Uh,
Oh my god. They should just start. Yeah. Oh my god. Don't even get me started on Teams.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay, I have one
Anyways.
final question, and then we need to wrap up. But if there's one thing that you could change about MDN,
Hmm.
what would it be?
From
Or
a
improve, like however you want to frame it, like not change in a bad way, but like if there's one thing
Yeah.
that you would do, what would it be?
I mean, I've got two answers for this.
Okay.
I'm basically just talking about my wish list here. But yeah, from a community standpoint, I would love to see a smoother contributor journey and more mentorship, clearer entry points, and
Mhm.
more lightweight ways to participate, right? Because something as intense as MDN really, yeah, it adds a lot of weight on you because this is something that you read every day, and yeah,
Mhm.
it is intimidating. I've been told, and I can understand that. We've got the will, and yeah, we just need the better scaffolding to get there, and we're working on that. That's from the community side, and from a product side, I think my wish list. Uh, I First of all, I haven't gone to the team about this, but I really want a human curated content feed on MDN where folks can submit their blogs, their videos, right? And so, for example, Jay, you've written something about an API. Santosh, you've made a video on LinkedIn, right? A place where you can submit those things, and we could, just share the spotlight with you, uh, because folks really want to read about all the new stuff, and MDN is just a small team of 12, 13 folks, right? We can't get everywhere, but our community can. So I do feel
like
that having something like this could just help us help the community while helping all the readers learn more.
So can I start tweeting about how that's on the roadmap now?
Like I said, I haven't talked to the team about it.
Pranshu said it's happening.
It's
Listen to the
wish list.
podcast. That's what he said.
It's wish list. But yeah, I do think that this is the right distribution channel, right? Like folks are creating things on LinkedIn, TikTok to be more discoverable,
Totally.
right? But if MDN is the right channel for it, why not just be there?
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely
Makes
agree with you.
sense.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So, it's already been 55 minutes, and it's Friday, so I have to leave. I mean, yeah, we are.
European devs, I tell you.
I know. Get back to work, guys. I got a whole day ahead of me.
Exactly.
I have a friend's birthday, too, so we are celebrating today, and then we'll be staying at their home for the weekends,
Awesome.
just enjoying the weekend. So
Perfect.
yeah, thanks again, Pranshu. Thanks again, Jay. And it was fun. It was fun talking about like MDN and MDN's journey. And thanks again for your time. I'll also just to end this, right? So do you have any links where people can join and become part of the community? You mentioned there is a Discord.
Yes.
Okay. So
Uh,
it's like open for everyone. Anyone can join.
yeah, absolutely. It's mdn.dev/discord. If you want to join the community, if you just want to see new, new issues that you can work on, you can just go to mdn.dev/community,
Hmm.
where we have a section just for good first issues.
Okay.
And yeah, just come to our GitHub, say hi, come to our Discord, say hi. Yeah.
And what about the calls you mentioned? Is like only specific to the communities, or you also have something called open office hours? A lot of companies do that as well.
So our community call that happens on Discord, it's open for all.
Okay.
We are doing one on next Wednesday, so it's 27th of August. But we do that typically every last Wednesday of the month.
So once in a month.
Yeah, so once in a month we meet, but you can just say hi regardless. It's not just that we have that structured time. You can just say hi to anyone anywhere on our Discord.
Mhm.
We have an editorial which is limited to our content contributors, our experienced content contributors who help us review a lot of pull requests. But yeah, if you want to join the conversation there, just let me know on Discord and I'll add your topic there and we can take it.
Thank you. So I'll just add the Discord link in this uh, video description. You can go ahead and join, become part of the community, start contributing. I think it's never too late to contribute to open source. That's what I always believe in. So start your journey today.
Perfect. Thank you, Santosh and Jay. I
Thanks.
mean, it was great meeting you. I think time just flew by. It was
Yeah,
like
seriously.
pretty
Yeah.
fast.
It's
Yeah.
almost 1 hour now.
Yeah, love talking to you guys. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
So-
for nice meeting you.
Yeah. So we'll see you again and bye bye for the today.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
You too. Bye bye.